Good morning. I feel like being formal today. Let me greet everybody in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. For some reason, I felt like standing up and greeting like that. All right. Good morning, guys. Good morning. It's Sunday. Winter is cruel on us. It's still dark outside. My son puts it this way: it's still night time. If it's dark, it feels like it's still nighttime. So I'm not sure where it is that you are joining us from under your blankets or with your cup of Java or green tea or whatever. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you. Where or how are you joining us this morning? We have to be wide awake so that we can be at the service, at your service. Good morning, guys. Good morning. It is such a pleasure, such a joy for me to start my week with these Grace Talks. I absolutely love it. But we are not here alone. Let me just welcome everybody. Leadership is here. All right. The lioness took the first front row seat. Good morning, my lioness. Anati joining us from Kimberley. Good morning. So Kimberley is in the house. I'd love to know how cold it is in Queenstown this morning. Usually it gets so cold that Amanda or Pumna says Depin. Anyway, good morning. My friend is here just around the corner from me. Good morning, my friend. The lioness is greeting us again from the YouTube page. Kanye is in the house. Good morning. So East London is on board. Sme is here. Sme is joining us from Bulawayo, I take it. So good to have you with us this morning. Good morning, Sme. Somebody is joining us from the Facebook group. Good morning. Yes, good morning. My little baby sister, Anita, joining us. Good morning, Anita. Thank you so much for joining us. There are those that ask to be woken up, guys. Somebody, please, thank you, Kanye, for reminding her. Morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning, T. Good morning, my prayer partner. She is Hanover. I hope everything is good on that side for you. All right. Morning, Sis Linda. Yeah, I get a sense. Lucky fish greeting us from under the blanket. That's fine. Enjoy. Enjoy, guys, your warm beds. Thank you, Sme. I'm within all the way from the city of kings and queens. Of course. One of these days, we will have these Grace Talks from right there, from that city. All right. Pundo's sunshine and light. I love that. Good morning. Undercover in Reimsach. Good morning. Good morning, Nompundo. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, let me not read all these undercovers because you're making me cold. Good morning, my friend, joining us from Gcanga. Pretoria's in the house of Ugil Nompundo. I think we are Nella. Somebody now go and we are Nella so that we can get going. All right. Thank you so much. And T has done what we also do. That's the second thing. In addition to greeting, you call another. All right. You share these proceedings, but you also call somebody so that they can also come and be blessed. All right. Eswatini is in the house. My sister Nomsa. Good morning, sister. Thank you so much. Sawubona. And Pizozo is in the house. And guys, please, will you help me to wish this young lady? She's one of our committee members. All the way from Maun in Botswana, one of my favorite cities in Botswana. It's Pizozo's birthday today. So happy birthday, my friend. May God bless you. All right. Thank you so much. And yes, we are calling others. She's not going to be happy with me if she misses this one. All right. I'm not going to waste too much time. Let me bring our guest inside as well. So we've greeted everybody. The house is ready. The community is ready to welcome our guest, who is also not a stranger to us. She's really a family member here at the Theatre of Grace. Dadwetu, good morning. Welcome to Grace Talks.
Good morning, beauty. Good morning, sisters and brothers that may have joined us this morning.
Thank you so much. You sound great this morning. You sound alive. You sound like, I got energy from you earlier. Where I was still dragging myself out of the bed. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mshabam. And ladies, we're talking today on a topic that Gcinashe did it before. She came here and she did one part and people were not happy. And we said, okay, part 2. Morning, Yonela. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we had to have a part 2 so that we can finish it off. And even as we did that, we didn't quite finish it. But we are bringing it today with a twist. All right. You might have picked this up, but for the next little while, I want us to look at relationships. All right. Broadly, of course, broadly, but we are looking at self-love today. But we are asking the question, and hopefully, as we continue, Gcina is going to maybe unfold some of this. Is there room? And I'd like to hear from you in the chat as well. In your relationship or situationship that you are in, all right, is there room for self-love? Do you feel like it's okay for you to love yourself and to fully express you authentically? All right, but let me not go ahead of my sister here. Shabam, I think let's start with a recap from the last time you were here, all right? Because this thing of self-love, some people misunderstand it. But for me, I consider you authority on it because I love your views on this. So let's first go back first to what is self-love and maybe a little bit of what it is not.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When I was preparing for this conversation, it was an amazing experience, because when I then consulted the Holy Spirit was so irritated. It was like, I was still here, Gcinashe. I was still here. Do I still need to convince you of the necessity of self-love? Okay. So the last time we were here, we went back into why? Because most of us are conflicted when it comes to self-love, because of how we were raised, of the many connotations that were attached to the subject of self-love, and generally, what we understood it to be. But we took it home, we took it to the Bible, and we found that, in fact, we are commanded, it's implicit in the command to love your neighbor as yourself. Ne? And so when we then, I also shared what my experience, where I was coming from with self-love. We covered my 100 days journey of self-love, and how how I was led into that journey, and what I then discovered in the journey. We looked at what self-esteem is as a byproduct of self-love, and what it can be. We even did a little questionnaire for each of us to check where we stand with self-esteem. We also looked at 1 Corinthians chapter 13, my favorite verse. Love is patient, love is kind. So when we talk about self-love, we're not talking about pride and aggressiveness, because love is kind. Love does not envy, it does not boast, and so it does not change when it comes back to self-love. We looked at the different sonnets on self-love. We asked the question, who are you? Because when you are clear about who you are, there is no way that you would not love who that shows up at. We looked at 1 Peter 2 verse 9, where we are reminded that we are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. I bet you know what is there not to love. That on its own, the Creator loved us so much that he took the time to create us, and then reminded us who we are. Because apparently this thing of self-forgetfulness comes back from history. As a people, we tend to forget who we are, and we find ourselves in dire situations because we do not remember who we are. And we also looked at my favorite Psalm 139, Betunana, for you. You formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. And earlier on, it says, before you were formed, I knew you.
I knew you.
So we covered all of that. If anybody missed those parts, fortunately, they are saved here. You can go back, because today we are taking it that we all know. And we covered some self-love pointers that you will remember who you are, and the responsibility that comes with to live up to that. And your body talk, we covered self-acknowledgement, and everything that's covered in that came out of the 100 days journey, and therefore covered in these cards. We summarized all of those. So I don't know, my friend, if I've done justice to the recap.
Absolutely, you have. And I want us now, even as we recap, we spoke about it last time, but let's go back there, because one of the reasons why I love that Psalms 139. You know, one of the things that I love, it says there, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and I know that so well. You know, that's what Solomon says. David, I know that full well. But it's one thing for me to be fearfully and wonderfully made. It's one thing for me to be a royal priesthood. You know, it's another for me to know that. And it's another for me to know that full well. Because then if I know it fully well, it shows up wherever I show up. And I think that's part of the problem, is that some of us say, there is something, there is some fearfully and wonderfully madeness in me, but we don't quite accept it. But, and you and I were talking about this, that part of that, and I'm not going to speak about others, but for part of that, for us as women, maybe even as Black women, and part of our struggles with us loving ourselves openly and fully and truly is because of our upbringing. It's because of the conversations in our upbringing, the things that we grew up hearing and the things that we grew up being told. You know, in my language, we would say we are tanda. And when we say that, we are not complimenting you. You know, who's tanda kangaka. You know, we are zidla. We are and it's like, yeah, you don't, that's not something to do. Now, I'm not saying, you know, because there's the other extremes, but we were told not to do that, because it was wrong for you to love you. It was wrong for you, you know, to look at yourself and look. So perhaps let's start there. The whole issue of how we were not supposed to love ourselves, because in loving ourselves, it's wrong. As a result, even now, people have issues with that. And of course, there's the Christianity, the self-sacrificing Christian posture, which we confuse self-love with martyrdom. Just by met with which one about begins in who's very met. Those things contribute to us. So we are having a problem with that conversation getting on in our own heads. And so we hear this, we read it in the Bible, but we battle because it is competing with what we already know. I don't know if you have views on that.
I feel like without a clarity on what self-love is about, we will tend to mistake it for the, when we get to appreciate what self-love is and what it stands to give to each of us when we open ourselves to it, there is no way that we would not embrace it altogether and want it for our children and instill it in them when they are still young, when we get aware of the benefits that we get, who we become when we because self-love is really remembering who you are authentically and therefore being free to be that fully at all times, not checking situations and then pretending to be something that you are not in different situations. So if God created you to be who you are, and then you show up as that at all times. When we were young, there was a poster. I remember there was a poster in my aunt's home that said, I know I'm somebody because God does not create any junk. You know, and for then it meant so much. It like I realize now that it was reminding us as we were young that you know, to have self-confidence and to know that we are somebody, and you know the atrocities that as children we commit on another that affects our self-confidence, and those things, when they are not dealt with, they operate there, you know, in the subconscious. Even as adults now, we forget that we are no longer in the playground where they are not choosing us, because nobody chooses you, and you end up being the last one to be picked up, and which then tells you that you are not good enough. Now that we are adults, we need to reclaim our lives. And you know, Jesus was one person who loved himself thoroughly. I just love the ease with which I get his life when he walked on earth.
Mm.
Everything was easy, and for Jesus there was no superior. You know this thing that we play. Then there are big people and there are smaller people. We look down on smaller people. We are afraid of the big people. We pretend to be something else with big people. All of Jesus was
Hey,
consistently him. Whether he was dealing with his parents
the
at
impossible
age
thing.
12,
Mm.
was that 12 or 11 at the church? At a young age, he was himself
Mm.
all the way through. Even when he asked to be baptized, you
Mm.
know, he was still the king. It's
Yeah.
not that because
Mm.
now you know who you are, you therefore don't need anybody's contribution into your life. People
Mm.
will still have the different roles and they will be respected for that. But that does not take away from who you are in any way.
Yeah. You know, ijikile ke ngoku i-camera yakho. Thank you. I love what you say about Jesus. And I want to throw in the statement of Ellen White for those of us, because some of us are, you know, still self-life is unchristlike. She says, Jesus was never elated by praise, neither was he dejected by criticism. So some of us, we read the temperature of the room, and it depends on how they treat us. If they treat us right, we will flourish. I'm not saying it doesn't help, it helps. We will flourish, we will do well. But if they criticize us, we will just shrink, because who we are, whether or not we love ourselves, is a function of how they see us. Jesus was never elated by praise. You praise me, thank you, I receive it, but I'm still me, I still love myself. You criticize me, it's your opinion of me, that's okay, but I will still be me. So thank you so much for that. I absolutely love that.
Can I just come in? There's a word, there's a word and there's a value that I practiced for some time as part of this self-love journey, and the word is equanimous. I remember where I got it. Equanimous, equanimity. That is not being elated by praise and not just remaining there. And for me, it reminds me of that verse that says, "In all situations, I'm content, whether I'm well fed or I'm hungry." But the word, it's a difficult thing to do.
Yes,
to be equanimous, especially when we are excited or when things are going. We want to, you know, kind of expand and feel great and want people to know just how great we are. It gets very difficult. It might even be easier, interestingly, to become when things are not going well. But when things are going well, we want to shout and we want, because now it's like, hey, look at me, this is what I've done. And maintaining a state of equanimity, it does not mean that you do not celebrate your successes, but your successes do not define who you are, because now if you're defined by those moments, then when life throws you the other side of the coin, then you can't handle them, because you have now connected who you are to what is happening in your life. To just appreciate, okay, this is what we are, well done, let's move, what's next? And then, because self-acknowledgement is one of the tools that we need to practice in self-love, because over the years we can be too focused on doing that we don't take the pause to acknowledge what's happening. But as we do that, if we remember what equanimity requires of us, and I remember I had attended this very strenuous workshop, and we were, so when you'd have a breakthrough, you would want to celebrate, okay, I got that, and then you are reminded, keep it here, sis. That's good, because tomorrow is a different day, there's a different challenge for tomorrow, and if you now on this high, you might be extremely disappointed the following day. Thanks. I love that.
Also,
I love that.
I'm gonna let you run now, I'm gonna keep quiet, but it also leads to the need to pretend. You see, when you find your identity, when you find your I don't know what, from when you are doing well and you are up there and you're excited and we celebrate you and we like you and we love you and you feel good about yourself, tomorrow you're going to pretend to be there. Okay, and this is where social media comes in now. I'm not saying people should post their dirty linen on social media, but sometimes it opens us up to living unauthentically or inauthentically. I think it's the right English.
Inauthentically, yes.
Because we feed off this supposed good good, wonderful person that we are, that we can't afford, therefore, we need it. We can't afford, therefore, to come across in a different light, because then we don't love who we are. But let me keep quiet, Ntobam, and just let you run a little bit. Otherwise, this thing is so interesting.
Thank you, Sissy. In fact, it reminds me, like I love laughing and I smile a lot. And when I show up as not smiling, people now want to put pressure on me. Hi, that's not you. And it's me. There's
We've
nothing
got
to
a
smile
contagious
about
smile.
sometimes. So,
We've learned
and
to use
it doesn't mean
contagious smile.
that I've lost hope in the world. No, but there's just nothing to smile about. And in life, there will be times when there's nothing to smile about, like when they kill women in relationships and women die in relationships. That's nothing to smile about. You will not see my smiling face. Thank you very much. I find this topic, self-love, particularly in relationships, to be very interesting. First of all, I view self-love as a relationship issue. It's a relationship matter. It starts from a relationship with yourself.
I love that.
And so and so we take that, who we then become when we have that relationship with self, into all the different relationships. I'm not planning to answer directly, but I'm hoping to show through this conversation that the minute you then say self-love is not needed, then you are not bringing anything to any of your relationships. So self-love definitely is it's not even a necessity, because when we say it is needed, it's like you take it, and then if you can take it, you can use it. But if you have built yourself, and it's like you have built yourself on a strong foundation of self-love, and that's then who you take into relationships. And when I looked at this, is there are single people and there are people who are in complicated relationship status, and there are people that are definitely in committed relationships. So this conversation will be addressing these three different people, and it's going to be important for one to find out where they are in terms of how they have presented themselves in the relationship, and what changes they then need to make, and how to make those changes. There's a thing that our children have on Instagram, where they will show a picture that what he signed up for versus what he got, and they would usually show this prim and proper picture of themselves or the person, and that the gentleman signed up for this person, and he did not expect the dancing, twerking version of that same person. So if you are already in a relationship and you presented yourself as incapable, and these things you can't do because you need another person. Now, when we remind you who you are and that you actually are capable and you are not expected to subtract anything from you, now we don't want you to go and surprise somebody and now mess up with their fully defined role of providing for you, even opening, because you can't open the lock. So somebody needs to wake up to come and open the lock for you. All of a sudden now you're kataza. You're opening locks and you're walking all out because you've remembered that you can do this. We're gonna need to have proper conversations to prepare our people. And at this conversation is not just about relationships and intimate relationships. For me, it covers all, especially our relationships with fellow sisters. As friends, because there's a big part. Our self-love shrinks or grows, especially in those relationships with sisters. And it is natural that in a circle of friends, say about 4, there will be one with a strong character. And when and self-love does not necessarily have to translate to a strong character. One can love themselves remaining the soft being that they are. Self-love is about knowing yourself and not changing yourself. So if you are devoid of self-love in a friendship with strong characters, it may be very easy for you to lose yourself. Find that you are starting to do things that are very uncomfortable for you, but that need for belonging, that need for belonging, this is what we do. Chomi, you cannot you cannot
you have to
in front of people with your naked face. And for you can, you really can, and you, that's what you like. Actually, it's not even that you are lazy, but you like that, you like people to know your natural face. So these are the things for us to look at.
And you know what, sorry, because it is here. Chomi, we don't date there. We don't date in that class. We don't friend. You know, there's very scary, but of course nuanced concept. We friend up in this group. We friend up. We don't friend this way. We don't friend. So now, if you come into that group and you don't know who you are also going to be caught up. You believe in friending differently, but as a group, we believe we friend this way. You believe when you have a different view on how you want to appear, but as a group, we believe. You know, you have a different view on where you want to live and where we take our children, what kind of cars we drive, you know, and what kind of relationships we get into. When you meet a nice chap, but you know this chap is not going to be accepted in your circle, and you lose out on that because. But again, this is nuanced, but I love what you're saying. I just thought let me just come in here. And I love that you're saying it's not just in romantic. Yes, we want to go in there, but it's also just in our woman-to-woman, sister-sister relationships.
Exactly. Like there's a movie, I don't know how many of us have watched it. It's called Acrimony.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lovely movie. And it has left an interesting debate who actually was wrong in that movie. So when we get to look at Acrimony and who's wrong in Acrimony, we find, you know, it can make an evening's discussion. Some would feel that the man was wrong for not going back to the wife, but the wife had dumped the man when she gave up on him. And then we can look at it and discuss it. But the fact is that there was pressure on the wife, if you remember. Okay. But for people that have not watched it, you must, and if you do watch movies, it's a movie to watch and look at, especially in these relationships and knowing who you are and taking a stand for who you are and what you believe. I believe that some of us are single, not because it's designed, but because we have these inauthentic lists that do not even talk to us. I've always believed that children come with their own blessings. I have 3, by the way, and you know, I've found people stressing about children. Where are you going to get the money? And I'm not saying people must be irresponsible about family planning, but what I've believed is that when the child finally, when God allows children to come, those children come with their full package of how they are going to be provided for. And so I also believe we are all gifted. We are also gifted enough for the relationships we might find ourselves in. And I know as ladies, we have now prioritized this thing of, is it a prioritization? No, it's not necessarily a prioritization. They are required to provide. Yes, they are required to provide. But it does not mean that we are incapable. And when we look at times, it's like times favor us women now, and we find ourselves in positions that men struggle to find ourselves. So now if you have a position that the person you are going to be in a relationship with must earn more than you, and you have this great job, then accept that you are likely to be single for life. Or can you're going to have a depressed partner here who's demanded, and they are trying, but the situations do not necessarily favor them. Okay. So the questions, okay, first of all, what do when we talk of self-love, because I just think that we need to clear some things. When we talk of self-love, what do we talk about? I've worked, we have the 100 tools, and the reality is that 100 is big. To remember each one. Okay, in this situation, this is what I need to bring, because for self-love is not a given thing. You wake up and you are fully. A lot happens through life. Let me quickly share a story that that I became aware of just this year. I'm studying, of course, doing a leadership program with some organization in India. And what I was so surprised when I saw this. And this is me having done a lot of work and continuing to work on entrenching myself in self-love and working from there. I remembered that when I was doing Standard 9, my first boyfriend had left the school. So I was single again. Single for the first time since having had a boyfriend. Okay. Now, and I was good in maths. I was good in maths. We had a new young teacher that had just come out of university and had arrived at our school. And I was competing with boys. There's a friend of mine who likes to remind me how I was this girl that made it difficult for them, and they didn't like that. But we laugh about that now. And they probably have not observed that I suddenly dropped. When this new teacher came, I continued to like maths, and he started to give me attention, and I liked that. So I did even better. And then to my surprise, the teacher was interested in me intimately. This scare, and people don't understand how scary that was for me. This was an old person for me, not now, but then he was a teacher. I was just still into boys. I was just into boys, and now a whole teacher. What did he want to do to me? I was so afraid. Gcanga, in the way that our young selves do, I took a decision. I said, you see this thing of doing too well. See, the teacher is not interested in people that were average in maths.
Hey, that's how we do when we are there.
You being a girl, you now choose to be good in this thing. And that's where I all of a sudden I shrunk. I was not conscious of, it's not like I said, okay, as from tomorrow, I'm going to pretend to not be clever. But I shrunk. I passed maths in standard grade. And by the time I got to university, I did not want anything to do with calculations ever in my life. And guess what? In everything, it was no longer just maths. It was in everything. Just be average. Ne? Be careful of showing up, because you are going to attract unwanted attention. And
it's amazing how
the responsibility of self-love is to be authentically me. And if God has created me to be bright in certain areas, here I am deciding to dim my light in those areas, because I'm afraid of attracting the wrong kind of attention. So when we talk of self-love, we need to go back. It's not your fault that you don't love yourself fully. There are things that happen that have taught you that it is not good to be really you. Because when you then show, your story could be that the girls won't like you as much because now it's like you are grabbing all the attention. There are many, many stories that run our lives subconsciously, which if we are not mindful of. And remember, how old am I? Okay, I'm 50, eh? And
Yeah.
even next year, I'm going to be 50. That other year, I'm going to be 50. I've decided I am just
Yeah.
going to be
It
50
stops at
for
8.
the coming 9 years. And then I just show up at 60. I'm tired now of counting 51, 52. It's boring, actually.
Too
So
long.
when I say I'm 50, don't go back to remember. My boss, but you celebrated your
You're not
50
50
years
last.
2020. We are not about that. So I
I'm in
just
the
say,
50s.
I'm 50. I'm 50 and I discover that the reason why I have not been showing up fully is there's a connection to something. I did Standard 9 in
My
1986.
goodness. My goodness.
Some of you were not even born yet.
Yeah.
In
Actually,
1986, I did
yeah.
Standard 9,
I
and
wanna
that
just
is
Yeah, I want to pause here, Dedwidge, and maybe put out a challenge to all of us, because what we want to walk away from this conversation with is not, wow, it was wonderful, but maybe a soul search. And I'm sitting there now. You have just thrown a whole lot of soul searching activities for me, for us to stop one and find out where you are on the truly find out where you are on the issue of self love. Truly, just for you, between you and you, find out where you are, honestly, truly. And then what went wrong, or what could be the possible reasons why you are not loving yourself as you should. You are not showing up as your true self. Because I think many of us have got, well, might not necessarily be a teacher story, but many of us have a story back there. So we need to go back and reframe that conversation so that we can continue. And if we don't do that work, guys, then we're going to continue and we're going to pass it on to our children. All right. Subconsciously, by the way, nobody consciously decides to not love themselves. But as you watch yourself, as you observe, and I know I battle with this a lot. I battle with reading the temperature of the room. I have to make up my mind if I'm going somewhere, to say to myself, okay, this is where I'm going. I know these kind of people. This is how they are. I have to consciously. And so you would find me, man and sit, because I'm trying to get buyela, because it is natural for me to want to just submerge myself and be who you want me to be at that particular time, because it feels good for that moment, but it gives me no peace. So for all of us, take a moment, go back if you have to, or just take a moment and go and find out, because this is why we don't believe the truths that God says to us about us. There you are, my friend. A huge decision about a subject that is life-changing. Could you have pursued it? But your little self, your young self at that time, reasoned out that let me not show up. Anyway, because if we used to be told when we were young. All right. So anymore. So when they're asking for somebody, do you know this? You know it. Instead of just putting your hand up and say, I can do this. I've got this. No. So thank you so much for this. Sorry, I just thought I'd just throw that in there. We have to sit down and self-examine and just have that conversation with us.
Thank you, Sissy. If one person could point a finger, because they say, first of all, awareness is the beginning of healing. Just to be aware there's this thing. And then you start to see yourself responding to that thing or behaving in ways. Because now I remind myself, Isis, you are 50. You know?
Yeah.
Do you still care now? And now if I do attract the wrong kind of attention because of my brilliance, I can handle it. I can deal with it. I can talk to whoever, say, by the way, this does not suggest you. We just need to teach men also to appreciate us and leave it there. Appreciate. Wow, Gcinashe is good in this. That's it. You don't have to taste anything. You don't have to kiss me. You don't have to kiss me for my part. So I'm now able to communicate that and see it. Say, oh, okay, this is his way of appreciating me. And not necessarily, it does not even require fighting over, like, okay, I get you. You have not learned to appreciate a woman fully without touching her.
Yeah.
You see, there's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So self-love then is continuous growth. There's
Yes.
no point at which you can say, wow, I've reached it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
each day presents new opportunities to learn more about yourself and to then become more. Because without me being aware of that, I remember when I was still employed, I had decided I am not going to apply for positions beyond chief director. For me, chief director was it. Because
Yeah.
now I know DDG would be
Yeah.
attracting too much attention onto myself, because now there are fewer DDGs. At least the chief
Yeah.
director, there's still a group of us. So once it gets to, I was never available. I left at a chief director level, because that's where the comfort and protection was for me. And so I come into business, and that thing of not wanting to show up is there. And in business, how many other chief directors are going to develop my own company? Zero. It's a Gcinashe's company. So I have to show up. So I think it was timely for God to say, you need to make peace with this thing, stand or some. It happened, but you're now grown up. And you've played this game. And I say, fortunately for me, my average was a little higher. Can you imagine? My average could have been less. My average allowed me to do certain things and grow to a certain level and follow certain, but just don't break through this one. There was that ceiling.
My friend.
Okay, it's a powerful realization for me. I remain grateful to God. I thank God for that. And as a result, this year is just a different year for me. Watch this space. Okay, so I have come up and
I need
in
to
the business.
something.
Then
I need to confess something.
yes,
and then you give us those 7 things. I think many of you know I have. In 2019, I graduated with an MBA from the University of Stellenbosch. I have deliberately not updated my LinkedIn. I have not put it anywhere other than in my CV that I put in my profile for speaking, mostly in speaking. I have deliberately, and because I do not want to attract attention, because it's going to call me to higher positions. And I don't even want to tell you my excuses, but I've just gotten an answer now. It's got nothing to do with those, but everything to do with, continue that with, let me just,
thank you.
We can just
Thank you.
end.
Thank you, Standosam. That sharing has made me understand why, because what I shared was not part of what I had prepared, but something just said, give a live example of.
We are sometimes afraid, because not only do we not believe God when he says what he says, but we are afraid of those women. We are afraid of the true people, the powerful people that we are terrified of those people. So we've hidden these powerful women. We put her in a corner. Shalapa, sit there, just sit there, because I'm too afraid of you showing up, because I don't know how to handle that. I don't know how I'm going to handle living out in this. I don't. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
My favorite poem, that is even an epigraph in the book on self-love, is the Marianne Williamson's poem from her book A Return to Love. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. The poem goes on and on, asking us to embrace.
Our light scares us.
She says, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be
Who am I?
brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous?
Those
Actually,
are
who are you not to
not
be?
to be.
You are a
Beautiful.
child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. Ne?
Yo!
Because we shrink not to make other people uncomfortable, that we've been answering too many questions. And then she says, we are all meant to shine as children do.
Children do.
We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not
In
just
all of
in
us.
some of us, it's
Hey,
in
from us.
everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we
Give us.
unconsciously give other people to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Can we give ourselves permission to do this work and heal whatever needs to be healed so that we can, the world would be a very bright place where we are all shining, inspiring each other to shine even brighter and shine even brighter. Tell each other that it's okay to shine. Look at me. Here I am shining here. It's fine. You don't die from shining. You can shine. You will be my friend. Even if you shine, I love you even more. Thank you for inspiring me.
Yo.
Yo, nangu Nwara na signature kai update pa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 7 pillars of self-love. This is, if there's still somebody who says this self-love thing, self-love is the first one. What we did during the self-love, the 100-day self-love journey, towards the end, we had identified the different days to say, okay, what does Sunday remind us of? What does Monday remind us of? What does Tuesday? So in the book now, I have covered these as the 7 pillars of self-love, into which all the 100 cards fit in. First one is self-care. And most people think that's the beginning and end of self-love. Self-care. And in fact, even our definition of self-care is small, because it's about time to wash my hair today, time to do my nails. Let me go for a massage. But there's a lot more to self-care. Self-care touches on our food, the kinds of food that we feed this body. It touches on choosing the people that we live with as the people that support our growth. Chooses our being organized and planning our lives and making sure that we are clear about what we're going to do in the next week. It talks to integrity. You know, when we go to integrity, guys, okay, it would require a different day. It talks to clutter and our living clutter-free lives. Talks to self-talk. What is your communication with self? Do you continue to say, oh, this is name? Why did I have to do that? What is your self-talk? Or you say, well done, girl. Okay, you'll do better tomorrow. How do you talk to yourself? Talks to appreciating your body, your body, because you are not going to hate your body into a better version of itself. You are going to love your body enough now in its current. So there's a lot more to it. Talks to being aware that you have your own race to run. And so self-care is about forgetting about competing with other people. And then move to the second. So that's like, let's say, as self-care Sunday. So Sundays, like today, you could already start to look at that, draw your plan, just to free your mind. Okay, these are my goals. This is the plan for this week. This is what I do. These are the friendships I'm going to rekindle. So-and-so was good for me. I don't know what happened to us. Go back, look at those things. Then we have Monday. We called it the mountain moving mindset Monday. So the mindset that moves mountains. So we have a day that reminds us that in the business of self-love, we are here to move mountains. My sister here
Hey,
calls it building great
mountains
lives.
change the world.
So
Yeah.
if you are reminded every day, okay, today what am I doing towards my great life that I am building? And you will see how all of these things connect to us being okay, whether we are single or we are not single. You are okay because your life is, you suddenly recognize that you have a full life all by yourself as God created you, because there are this many things. So in the mountain moving mindset, you look at your being proactive, your beliefs, the purpose talk is remembered on this day. Purpose, what are your dreams? You look at self-development. When are you completing that thing you've been doing all this time? And for some reason, you keep procrastinating when it comes to your own achievement, whilst you're helping everybody else achieve.
Hey.
Acceptance of what is, the commitments you make, leadership, and acknowledging that you are a leader, and devotion, incompletions, clearing those things, minding your thoughts, taking risks. All of these things are in your mountain moving mindset. And as you can see, there's a lot we can talk about under each.
Wow.
I love Tuesday. In fact, Tuesday, we pronounce it as Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we choose childlikeness, because in self-love, you are required, you know, only abanjengomntana. So childlikeness, what is in the childlikeness? You remember the value of play. There's the card, I think it's day 3 of the self, it says we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So remember the value of play.
Children.
Remember, for me, I discovered a powerful thing in one workshop and a game that we were doing, that when I approach difficult things playfully, I find solutions. So when I'm too serious and I'm stuck, I remember, okay, I'm approaching this in a very serious manner. So if I was playful about it, what would I do? So this is powerful for me in many ways. This is where journaling comes in. Remember how children love to draw? We need to go back to journaling. Laughter comes in as part of this day. Creativity is part of this day. Intimacy, not intimacy as in the romance, just being an intimate person. You know these people that give warm hugs. Have you felt a child's hug? Not the cold, hug. A hug that says, here I am for you. And you say everything that needs to be done in a hug. You know, dealing with heartbreaks, you know, pain we deal with pain in childlikeness, because children are open to all emotions. They will feel the pain now and cry and laugh now. All of this. So childlikeness is not just about doing the nice things, acknowledging change, pain, which is something that we dealt with in the 100 days, knowing that even when you choose it, it's still going to be painful. When you decide to leave a relationship, you are the one that decided it's going to be painful, and be there for the pain and allow it to be. Okay. Then pillar 4 is an interesting one, because it's Wednesday, and it's nice to go with Wellness Wednesday like we do here at home. But for Wednesday, I wanted to give space for us to show up in the bigness that we can be in giving. So Wednesday is about wild love, giving, through giving. So because now, if we don't express who we have become through being there for others and giving, and interestingly, this is where we deal with asking for help. Because if you don't know how to ask, which was a big thing for me, I didn't know how I struggled a lot with asking. And in the journey, it came a lot. And we deal with femininity, because we are caregivers. We are givers by nature. God created us, Tina, to be people that give. And so we need to be able to receive as well. It deals with who you are. It deals with sexuality. all of those things come. Be open to receive, including spirituality and death, are the topics we cover on this pillar 4. Pillar 5 is a nice one. Thankfulness. It's a thankful Thursday. This is where we deal with the power that we are. Our deepest year is not that we are inadequate. Day 11 is a thankfulness day. We start to be grateful for who we are. Authenticity is here. Blessings, greatness, humility. It's very important, because when we talk of power, one might mistake it to be the opposite of humility. Humility comes this same day. Consciousness, self-deprecation, self-acknowledgement, desires. It's a basket of things, as you can see. And then Friday, it's a Freedom Friday. It's a Forgiveness Friday. This is where we now deal with those things that come up.
Freedom Friday, I love it.
Standard 9 teacher. Forgive the Standard 9 teacher, as I have, really. That's why I'm able to talk about it so easily. And I can see the child in me had an issue, but I'm 50 now. So I no longer need to have an issue about that thing. We deal with jealousy here. We deal with secrets. Your secrets will eat away your life. So we have to deal with them, find a way to process them. Even if you tell one person, or free yourself of secrets, just say the thing, and you will experience freedom like you have never before. I remember the secrets I shared in my own jail. This one is shocking even to me, but I freed myself. Now nobody can gossip about that, because
you told them. Yeah, I gave you permission to talk about it.
Deals with judgment. Everything is the Friday.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, of course, rest and reset. This is where we learn that it's okay to start again. For me, starting again. And as many of my friends that were part of the journey, we got so much from start again. The permission to say, okay, this is not working. It's not working. I can call it failure, or I can call it growth. I choose what to call it, but I am free to start again. I am alive for a reason. I don't have to bear it out and die in silence. I can start again. You can then pack your whole belongings, leave Pretoria, go home and start again. It's okay. This is where we're reminded to sleep. Yes, self-love is very deep. We're reminded to sleep, no multitasking. We pride ourselves on multitasking, and that we even open 3 things at once, and we're doing no multitasking. We learned here, no multitasking, how to live wholeheartedly, how to readjust. Trust comes in here. We need to heal our relationship with trust, and how to appreciate an alone time. And of course, unplug. One day to unplug. One day. Don't be reachable for this day, because it's your time to reconnect with reset. And of course, it's perfect when I put it on Sabbath, because then we are fully in appreciation of the gift of Sabbath to us. All right. Yeah, so these are the 7 pillars of self-love. And now you look at these pillars and you tell me which one would not be required anywhere.
Exactly.
Which relationship would not benefit from you living from these and inspiring those around you? Because for me, everybody benefits. Self-love is not selfish. Everybody benefits when we take that responsibility to say, this is the first relationship that's important to me, my relationship to myself, and so I will nurture this relationship, and this is how I do it.
I love it. I love it. I'm sitting here, I'm seeing, we have these workshops that we hold, I think once every 2 months, 3 months or so, which we call Best Life Seminars. I think we need, because this has been therapy, guys. I don't know about you, but I'm just sitting here and I'm having a therapy session. I think that what you and I will talk in July where they'll come together via Zoom, where you will share, but we also get to talk. Because I mean, these 7 pillars are just each of them is so deep, and we want to go deep. We want to be practical. So absolutely, I think our next Best Life seminar will be on the depth of self-love, because we can never have enough time here on Grace Talks, because we've got an hour and a little bit, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing, and so we have to now try, because it's 8 o'clock and we need to now approach the door. So people are really happy to have this as a Best Life seminar. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we have to look at that. Yeah, we have to look at that now, because we can have a part 2, but in the part 2 it will still be you and me talking. We want to go to a place now where you will talk, you will teach, we will do, and we will talk. These confessions, it's just mine, it's just a small little one, but I'm sure many of us have got this place where we've gotten stuck. Many of us are in these relationships, and that's what I want you to talk to now. Many of us are in these relationships, whether friendships or romantic relationships. It can even be marriages, guys, because sometimes we think because we are in a marriage, it's all hunky-dory. It can be marriages, it can be relationships, it can be friendships where you have for years or for the longest of time, you have been the submarine. This is how you test a relationship. When you have to go and be with that person, whether it's a husband or a boyfriend or a friend, where you have to go and meet them for something, inside of you have to adjust yourself. Well, you have to adjust yourself. But okay, hey, I'm meeting with you, because it's not acceptable to be. I'm not saying, because there's also emotional intelligence to know, okay, this is how I want to show up. This is how to show up here. But where you know that this person, this carefree me that I am, I cannot be that person with this. So how do we now that we have a little bit of information, a little bit of enlightenment, we are starting the journey of self-love, because I do believe it's a journey. Where to from here? Tomorrow, that's the first question. The second question is, for those of us who are in relationship, how do we, because this is very important, this is for me why I do the work that we do at the Theatre of Grace. This here is a platform. God has given us a simple mission. God's daughters found grace, living out their best lives. How do we create enabling environments that way too? A situation where when you and me and Tarahina and Nokanyo come together, we create a safe space that, while Nokanyo is that person, you know how she is, and Tarahina is the same craziness, but I can be my humble, sweet, quiet self, because I'm not. But my point is, how do we as women, Gengo in particular, but even those of us who are in relationships, in marriages, how do I create an enabling environment for my husband to be himself, to freely be him, for my sons to discover who they truly are? So I don't know if you're getting my 2 questions, a 2-part question.
It's so interesting. Just yesterday, I don't know, I was shown it because I've worked on a workbook for women, and then yesterday the Holy Spirit showed me colors for a workbook for men. I was like, oh, okay. It said, yeah, Galuk, we can't be developing ourselves and leaving them behind. And in that space, I was shown, a world where men are okay with their softness. So I have that responsibility now to develop a workbook with its own general prompts for men that seek to do this work, but without making them too feminine. Of course, have them embrace the femininity in them, because we all have both sides. But so I have the colors at least, and the content will be the same, but their general prompts will be different, and their own questions will be different.
Yes. And someone is asking, sorry, my friend, about the cards, because somebody was asking now. We've got them from the first time you came here, but there are people who are hearing you for the first time. I don't know if you still got them available. Maybe we can just share how they can still get them.
When I got the realization that I was playing small, and why I was playing small, I went and finished the work of developing the workbook that accompanies the cards, because people were asking for a self-love program. So I paused selling the cards alone. But now that I'm done with the workbook, and I'm able to offer a choice where somebody can get the cards, or because the workbook has the cards in them, but the disadvantage of the workbook is that you can't shuffle, which is something that we have loved. You can't shuffle and see which card comes up. Like now, I got personal leadership is the process of keeping your vision and values before you and aligning your life to be congruent with them. So I would look at, how do I practice personal leadership in my day-to-day? So in the workbook, one can follow from first card to the last, or work with the individual cards alone, and then go to the journal space. It's your space. And in fact, now it kind of it's a coaching tool, coaches you to prioritize your mental health, checking in with yourself twice per day. And then it also becomes your gratitude journal, where you would journal your whatever it is. Get you into the habit of journaling. How are you feeling as you wake up? What do you look forward to today? And then you have space to look at the card for the day and what it means to you. What is your level of alignment?
No. Okay. All right. Okay. I think we just lost connection there with Gcinashe. A little bit, I imagine. The devil is a liar. He's now having issues. All right, let's hope that she'll be able to come to join back in as soon as she gets connection. But we are approaching the end of this Grace Talks. Yeah, the enemy, you know how he is when we spend a lot of time peeling off his hold and removing his hold on us, he will peddle, and that's what he's doing now. So but I'm sure she'll come back in just to close off this session, and we will then find out from her how to get hold of the workbook as well. But in the meantime, I'll just take a few of your comments until she comes back in, and then we go. So there we have Shirley says, to think the devil said, "Hi girl, switch off the alarm and sleep, you will catch up later." Then God, who knew how much I needed this, woke me up even without the alarm. And it's always nice to come in and join this live, guys. It's always nice. All right, that Wedge is back. Let's put her back in. Because his grip on us has become loose, and he's like, okay, let me see if I cannot intervene. But we don't have issues with him. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. So the summary of it is that the cards are available, but now I am able to say you can get the cards, or you can get the workbook, or you can get both the cards and the workbook. People that are interested can contact me through my page, or message me, or Beauty can give you my contact details.
Yeah. I know I want the workbook. And if you are here, guys, you can just drop me a message via WhatsApp, or you can, if wherever you are now in this conversation, you can just indicate that you want it. Then will come to these platforms and also respond there. But the easiest is to drop me a message, inbox, or send me a message via WhatsApp, and then I will give you her contacts, and then we'll take it from there. All right. I will put up my number just now while Gcinashe wraps it up. So let's just go to those questions as we are approaching the end.
Okay. Can you please remind me what the questions were? Because that thing of breaking messed up with my attention.
Oh, okay. So I just want to add my number quickly. Okay. There we go. All right. So just drop me a message there via WhatsApp, and then I will reply with Gcinashe's contact details, and then we'll take it from there. I was saying that as we are living now, some of us are in relationships, regardless of the form, right? Romantic and friendships, where we have been and we have maintained them for years, But for us to have maintained, can I just tell you, it's not even just romantic, it can even be within the family, where as siblings, you are known as this one, who submerges. You've been the submarine. You have for years or months, for the longest of time, not playing out as Marianne Williamson, not showing you, because it felt like you are accepted when you are this small in a relationship, in a marriage. Now you've been moved by this session and you would like to start your journey of self-love so that you can show up as your true self. Just some words there for people like that. That was the first question. Then the second one is holding ourselves responsible. Us now as women, us as the community, us as the grace dispensers in our own relationships. That's the flip side of the coin. Is there someone who in my presence struggles to be themselves because of how maybe I am towards them? And I mean, I made the example even as far as my marriage is concerned, raising my children, my own sisters, my own friends. Is there a way that we as women can create enabling communities, welcoming relationships where if you are in my presence, you can be free to be you, that I encourage you to live out your true, authentic self? So it might be the same question, but I'm just looking at both sides of the coin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I found for me, whatever I have asked of God, God has a way of answering us. For someone, the answer might be just being here today. And then being aware that, okay, and it's okay to be me.
Yeah.
When last was I me? And then, because some of us have to go back and fetch ourselves from when we were 16, because you left yourself there, you remember how you were, but then something happened. Or you were in your 20s, like you are 25 years old, single, and all of a sudden you have 2 children that are 18 months apart, and your future is just goes black, and you are diminished. Nobody will choose you, because as women we wait to be chosen. Nobody will choose you now.
To say
we won't be chosen. But then God shows you that you don't need to be chosen. God has already chosen us. One verse, I feel pain when I think about how inauthentic we are in our relationship to God. And I see this in me when I cry for losing someone. That cry that says, who will I be now that this person is not there? And then have a picture of God looking at me. Bible, who will you be? So you think that all this time you are who you are because of another human being. And the one verse that always, sticks pins in my heart. Seek ye therefore the kingdom of God, and all of these things shall be added. For me, it says, don't even look at the things. Focus on the relationship. There's so much to do as you serve that relationship. And you serve that relationship by being you, and more of you, and more of you. Ne? And then because in you, the purpose that we each are, I love to say that we are a purpose. And not that we have a purpose, because having, you can lose it. But we are, the purpose that we are is built into who we are. And so when we diminish ourselves, we don't have access to our purpose, because our purpose is linked to our full version of ourselves. So there's work to be done. And self-love is not a talk thing. It's not a hashtag self-love. No, it's not that. It's a painful work that needs to be done. And then little by little, there's mirror work that I teach. And you will see yourself in the mirror. When you are looking at yourself doing that mirror, you will see yourself running away from the mirror. It's day 3 and all of a sudden, come talk to me. You will run away, and then you will see your true relationship with yourself, and you will recognize the amount of work that needs to be done, doing it whilst it's painful to do, and yet you still go and do it. It's a work thing. So from my side, I offer now these cards and then the workbook. But in development is an intensive, submissive program for somebody who says, I can't do it alone. Because there are people that are good with correspondence. So the workbook is, if you prefer, I'm good on my then you can get yourself to do the work. Yeah, but beauty strikes me as somebody, when my friend, you are a mover. You do things. I can see you holding yourself accountable and saying, I have not done my morning thing. I need to sit down, and you would even create that time. But there are people who are not yet there. They say, I want you at my back. I want you following, because I have a tendency to hide from myself. So for those people in the seminar, I will also be bringing information about the program.
Yeah, I think that we also mentioned, I don't know if you forgot, but I need to mention that Gcinashe is a therapist. She professionally does this. Okay.
Yes.
So when you get hold of her, you also get to know what other services. I think from the seminar, we may then start the journey with those that want to, but we'll look at how we'll do it. Basically, start the journey for those that need to hold someone's hand, because sometimes we do it alone. Sometimes it helps to have someone who says, "Have you done your mirror work today? All right, have you done this? Have you done this today?" So we'll set the date. It will probably be in July. For that Best Life seminar. Thank you so much. Can you then go to us? How do we create this? Is Oval again. How do I make it easy for people to love themselves in my presence? How do I make it easy for you to come and be you without me being an issue in your space?
The first thing is for you to be okay in your power. Because we make it difficult for people to shine, because it's like, why you when I can't? So when we are okay individually you will see it. When you have shifted, you start, the people that used to irritate you as if they are showing off all the time, we see them. You see the self-talk and the things you say in your head as you're looking at people trying to live their best lives, and how negative you view them. But when you start to work on yourself and being okay with you showing up in your great version of self, you will make it easy for people. When you start to feel an irritation, when you feel an irritation about somebody doing something, because this is about actually doing. Somebody's doing something, they may not yet be perfect at it, but they are starting something. When you are tempted to criticize instead of support and encourage and see them grow and become better, and you look at where they come from, then you know that you are one of the reasons why people are not being themselves. Because some people want your approval. We need to acknowledge that about ourselves. Some people, our children, are looking for our approval. So we need to be present and aware at all times. Sometimes you're absent-minded as somebody doing something, and they take that upon themselves. And they I will never forget a story that held me for years. A colleague, powerful colleague I looked up to, criticized another colleague that was working on her body, and she was looking fabulous. She was sexy, and she was flaunting, and this colleague said, she can never be a senior manager. No senior manager looks like that. I'm new, I'm young, I'm growing. What am I learning?
What are
You
you
need
getting from him? From
yes.
him, not about that person, but about you. So
So
what
I'm
will it take
learning
for
about
you?
yeah, you need to be a bit round, you need to be, you can't
Eh.
now be slim and
And
and,
become a senior manager. Yeah,
and
sure.
now the
Mm,
work now that must go into restoring that body because of what I bought. So we need to take responsibility for what comes out of our mouth
mm,
because it can kill or
mm.
inspire. So like, but I'm happy. I'm talking to mainly
Yeah,
children of God that know
yeah.
that what they say is important, and
Mm,
so we need to be deliberate. Intentional is no
mm,
kind of favorite word. We need to be intentional.
yeah.
Intentionally,
Kamabo.
even when you are
Mm,
not ready. If you are not
yeah,
ready, we're not to shine. Be intentional to support other people to shine,
yeah, yeah,
encourage them, support
yeah.
them, and
Mm,
then in time, you will
mm.
probably also show up.
Wow. I'm gonna let you have your closing remarks that which thank you so much. This is yeah. I people think I plan these things. I plan them, but heaven takes these things over. I come here and then I come here also as a beneficiary of these conversations. I'm sitting here in awe. Hence they catch me off guard. I'm gonna let you have your closing remarks, but I just want to make two comments. The one is an announcement with regards to the upcoming Theatre of Grace conference in Bumalang. Ladies, we did reach our subscription for the venue for camping. So we were initially looking for 100 people because we wanted to meet each other. We just like, we had been seeing each other, we've been talking, and we wanted to see each other. But we are now approaching 300 in terms of people that have reserved place, and the venue can take that much. But we have had a cry for people that missed the deadline, which was extended. It was end of April, was extended to end of May. So we are discussing, we are meeting this afternoon as the committee to look at being able to open registration for those that will then not camp in, that will stay outside, because there's many of guest houses in White River for people to still go there. So we will announce that. So for those people who have been inboxing, SMSing, so we are more than 300. So you know that my lioness leadership is correcting me. Yeah. So we've reached 300. So for those that want to come but will be willing to then book their own accommodation in White River, which, and I've seen the nice places there. So we will then give out the information this week. So I just thought, let me just give that announcement. As I let you close that with, I'm reminded, and God has been giving me this for this past week. Maybe I need to look deep into it. The rich young ruler, he asks Jesus, comes to Jesus to says, what can I do to have eternal life? Look at what Zux is saying, that rich. Look at this, by the way. I'm not going to say anything. I'll just leave it there. I'll just leave it there. He comes to Jesus and he says to him, what can I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus says, you know what the law says, but in summary, you must love the Lord your God and you must love the neighbor as yourself. For the first time this week, I saw that verse as an expression of self-love. And the Bible says a very painful line. It says he walked away sorrowful because he had many possessions. And for years, I've always looked at that what made this young man sorrowful was because he had possessions. But the sorrow, basically, well, this young man never actually loved himself. Because what Jesus was saying, and that what for me, the summary of self-love is about loving God, being true to who God says you are. And if you are truly, truly loving God, if you are truly, truly living up to who God says you are, it comes naturally to love your neighbor as you love yourself. But the self is found in this one. The loving yourself is found in that vertical part of the relationship. And when that is strong and when that is established, the outflow of that strong love for you, that strong love for God, is then the loving your neighbor as you love yourself. But the loving yourself comes first. So I just thought to myself, wow. So some of us can actually be living out our lives sorrowful because it seems like God is asking too much of us. But all he is asking is for us to love ourselves. And where does it begin? It starts and ends with Him. Your closing remarks, that way, so we can start this week on this very, very high note.
Okay, thank you, sis. Not much. The one bit that I feel I didn't manage to get to is the importance of self-love in committed relationships.
Yeah.
Our sisters that are in committed relationships that are when they themselves are devoid of self-love, can easily find themselves thinking that they are nothing outside that relationship.
Yeah.
And I feel like because it's easy to it's not easy to talk to somebody who's devoid of self-love and tell them that their relationship is killing them.
Yeah. No.
Because now what are they going to lean against?
Yeah.
It's like this relationship is who I am. And so the focus, we all have the responsibility to make sure that our loved ones that are in relationships, if we ourselves are not, or if we ourselves are working on self-love, we take others with us on the journey of self-love. So and so if you get a pack of cards, gift it to another and get the other and say, I would like you to join me on the self-love journey. This is, and then that's where we start conversations. What did you read from today's card? For me, this is what came up. And then you get people to uncover for themselves that where they have been stuck and where they are. It also facilitates the conversation between, because it's not easy for you to say, hey, Chomi, I'm tired now of accompanying you to hospital. I'm taking a worst case scenario when you've had to accompany your friend to hospital because of physical abuse, and then they go back there. But you just now bring something else. Say, let's work on this, and then you see, because then it develops a reservoir of self-love that they can then start to see themselves as complete and whole. And then whatever they can own the decision that they then take for themselves, because we can't run people's lives.
Yeah.
Having said that, the one, we come to these conversations and we attend things and we have great insights. I just want to say today, insights will not sustain you. It's great to have the insight and see things, but if you don't take action, because action is what creates shifts.
Transformation.
You saying, getting up from here, I am taking a bath, because sometimes it's difficult to even take a bath. We feel so down that taking a bath is a huge achievement. So saying, I am taking a bath, I am, going to, it's a self-care Sunday, by the way. So you can go for the minimal.
Let's start.
I am taking myself. And today I'm going to take a journal and write a letter to myself.
Oh, as a
first action. That's an action. That's a recommitment. That's a recognition of, I am here. I am here as well. I am alive. And being alive is a responsibility. So I am starting to take care of myself. You start to plan, how am I going to eat this week? You have that. You write your plan, you chop what needs to be chopped, because sometimes we work and then we end up grabbing bread and putting peanut butter and having coffee and we sleep. So you just plan, self-care day. This is what I'm going to eat. I'm still eating meat, but I'll just have it twice a week. How interesting can I make my meals? When you take that responsibility, you see yourself, you go in front of a mirror and you look at yourself. You don't know yet what to do there, but you just look at yourself in appreciation. Spend a minute just appreciating yourself, not going to the deep mirror work. But what I'm saying in closing, don't be fooled by insults. Practical actions are necessary to create shifts. You decide, what are your self-love actions that you are going to take? And we all know, how you are not loving yourself. So we say, I'm not going to do this thing. because that goes against me loving myself.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, that's your story. You know, I know we are closing. One of the things as I grew older, I used to do in relationships. As I grew older, and by older I mean I got married at 30, so I was wide awake when I got married. I would, because it's easy to walk into a relationship and become and become whoever they expect you to be. If you see that they love you when you are small and you pretend not, they love that, you become that. If this relationship loves you and you walk out of that one and you walk into this one, like I was saying, read the temperature of the room and see, okay, here he loves me when I am more like this, and then I become that. But I remember the one relationship that I walked out of, and I never got into another until I met my husband. So he found me in that gap. Is that I realized that I hate the person that I had become in this relationship. I stopped hating him for what he had made me to become, but I hated the person that I had become. And because often we run away from them. So I was running away from that relationship. But when I got out of that one, I was walking towards myself. I was not running away from him, but I was running towards me. And I had to ask these serious questions. I remember I was maybe 28, 29. I had to ask serious questions about who was that woman that I was. I can't say that I found her. I mean, I shared something earlier now that it takes a long time to get to that place. But I had to find who then is this woman that I'm running towards. And the only person that was going to answer that question for me was God. And so I ran out of that horrible relationship that I was in, and I ran into a relationship with God. And in that process, I discovered somebody that I actually like this girl. I discovered things about this girl that I actually, and in that process of discovering myself, God then was setting something up for me. But by the time I came into this one, I knew quite a bit about who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. Yes, I've gotten a lot of help in this relationship to show up as that person, but this relationship that I'm in now for 15 years found me on that journey. And what am I saying to us ladies? Because we can easily now walk away from this conversation with a resolve to run away from something. Okay, whatever it is that is an issue in your life, to run away from that relationship if you are in an abusive relationship, or in an unfulfilling relationship, or it's not life-giving, or to run away from whatever your challenge is in your life. I commend to you this: don't run away from anything, but run towards something. Because it's exhausting to run away from something because your point of reference is behind you. But if you run towards something, then your point of reference is ahead of you. And as we say here at the Theatre of Grace, His grace is sufficient for us. His grace is sufficient for us. That word, can you pray for us?
Okay. Asivaleni amehlo. Awunothanda sekhaya ezulwini umdalo wezulu nomhlaba yise wenkosi yethu Yesu Kristu. Siyabulela bawo ngeli xesha. Siyabulela Malusolungileyo that you don't give up on us. You never give up on us. And that you give us chance after chance for us to actually experience the freedom that you have always offered to us. Freedom to be as you created us in you. Siyabulela Malusolungileyo for the insights that have come up in different corners. We know that you are capable and are already in the business of healing the different wounds that have showed themselves to us. Siyacela ke Malusolungileyo, give us the patience to stay in you as we become that version that you saw in us before we were even formed in our mother's womb. Teach us daily, Father, how to be who you created us to be. We are grateful to have a God who's forever understanding of all the different situations and challenges we find ourselves in. But moreover, a God who continues to pour his love into us as empty vessels time and time again. We ask Malusolungileyo that you bless all of us You teach us, Father, how to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And that love continues to grow into big and brighter sparks as we get to be more of ourselves each day. We pray in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, now and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed week. I almost said a peaceful week, but I have a sense that God is not going to give you peace with this whole thing. But may it be blessed. And let's get the work done. Let's start. We'll communicate about the dates for our self-love seminar. But for now, blessings, blessings. If you don't know, we meet every Wednesday morning at 4:30 a.m. for just our midweek devotion. All right. This Wednesday morning, join us. We're talking about snakes. God has just been on my case about snakes, but we'll tell you more about snakes on Wednesday morning. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed, blessed, blessed week.